to ACE 2025. Just to announce that this section of the event is getting live streamed as well, and the link is available on the IIM Calcutta website, the ACE page, and on the alumni portal. We are deeply honored to have among us today our esteemed chief guest, Shri Aniruddha Paul, global technologist and banker, and more importantly, an alumnus of IIM Calcutta. Welcome, sir. We are also deeply grateful and honored to have with us our director, Shri Alok Kumar Rai, Professor Alok Kumar Rai, the Dean Academic Programs, Professor Bhaskar Chakravarti, the Dean Development and External Relations, Professor Sumanta Basu, the Dean Executive Education, Professor Rajesh Babu. May I request you all to kindly grace the dais, please. A huge round of applause for them, please. May I now request our team to present the welcome bouquets to the dignitaries on the dais. To set the tone for today's celebration of learning and leadership, may I invite Professor R. Rajesh Babu to deliver the welcome address, please.
A very good afternoon to all of you. It's an honor and a pleasure to welcome all of you today, the second edition of the ACE event. Professor Alok Kumar Rai, Director, IIM Calcutta. Mr. Aniruddha Paul, Global Technologist and Banker, former CIO, Standard Chartered Bank, and our esteemed alumni. Professor Bhaskar Chakravarti, Dean Academic Programs. Professor Sumanta Basu, Dean Development and External Relations. Our long duration program partners, Talent Sprint, representative of Talent Sprint, Times Pro, Emeritus, VC Now, Emarticus, and eSquare. Esteemed faculty members, officers, and staff. And most importantly, our distinguished alumni of the executive education. A very warm welcome to all of you. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you all to the second edition of the Executive Education Alumni Connect event 2025. Our first ACE event in December 2024 was a memorable success, bringing together about 350 alumni from multiple batches. Building on to that momentum, ACE 2025 gives us another opportunity to celebrate our shared journey, reflect on how we have come, and most importantly, reconnect. Our first is, it is often said that the true strength of any academic institution is measured not only by the quality of education it delivers, but by the depth and durability of the relationships it nurtures. The relationship among faculty and participants, among peer and across generations of alumni form a powerful network, one that extends far beyond the classroom and enables continuous learning, innovation, and leadership. Allow me to also briefly mention about the executive education at IIM Calcutta. IIM Calcutta has pioneered in executive education, particularly in the area of technology-enabled learning, Over the past 2 decades, our executive education portfolio has increased significantly to address the evolving needs of working professionals. During the academic year 2024-25, we delivered around 160 plus programs with more than 8,000 participants enrolled across short duration, long duration, and custom programs. Our large executive education alumni base is a testament to both the scale and the impact of our effort. We continuously collaborate our programs to reflect shifts in national and global economic dynamics. Recently, we also launched 4 standalone async programs, further enhancing flexibility and accessibility for senior professionals. For this year, 2025, in addition to the 2 vibrant panels on contemporary themes, we have consciously introduced several enhancements to build on last year's program with a clear intent to engage, celebrate, and support our executive education alumni community. This year, we are delighted to launch 2 new features, the Alumni Spotlight event and the Startup Pitch, organized in collaboration with IMC Innovation Park. In addition, you may also notice in your schedule a special book release, which also showcases inspiring stories of our executive education entrepreneurs. We deeply appreciate the idea, help, and support received from many members of our executive education community in terms of organization of this event and contributing to have a invaluable in shaping this year's event. Before I conclude, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the executive education team and the committee who has tirelessly worked over the past few months to make this event happen. Also extend my gratitude to the long duration partners for the continuous support and sponsorship some of these events. To our alumni community, thank you for your achievements and engagement inspires those who follow your footsteps. We are proud to have you as part of our extended family. Together, we will continue to learn, grow, and lead. Thank you, and I wish you a meaningful and memorable ACE 2025.
Thank you, Professor Babu. IIM Calcutta Executive Education has come a long way, and we still have a long way to go. It is my honor now to invite the director to deliver the inaugural address, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Shubhra. Very distinguished guest of the day, Shri Aniruddha Paulji, a renowned global technologist and banker, our Dean Executive Education, Professor Rajesh Babu, Dean Academics, Professor Bhaskar, Dean Development and External Relations, Professor Sumanta Basu, our technology partners, very respected faculty members, my other colleagues from the Institute, esteemed guests, and dear colleagues. The filling up of the hall is taking a little time. Now, especially when it happens in case of alumni meet, that should be considered as a mark of success because they feel at home, and this is what it is to be meant as. Since I am their guest house mate, so while coming from there, I have been seeing how comfortable they were, how photography was going on, how some people were still checking in and meeting others, and that is what a very important purpose of such alumni meets are. So that way, the first sign of success is there. I have another sign of success that I could notice, and that is if any such program happens and it does not ask for financial contribution from the institute's exchequer, that itself is another sign of success. Since I've joined in last 5 months, this is the most elaborate arrangement I have seen. And I must congratulate the team of the organizers of ACE. Without a single monetary contribution from the institute, so they could muster adequate sponsorship. And that is another and very, very important mark of success. So that way, the kudos lies to the organizers and also to the partners, Emirates, VC Now, Ematicus, Talent Sprint, Times Pro. And I hope we'll further our relationship with them. We'll further and deepen our relationship with all the alumni who have come here in this ACE program. Indeed, another sign of success was that it started last year, but is still continuing in the second year. Now, not all the initiatives moves forward in their life. Not all. And if at all it is moving, I am moving with a growth, that is another sign of success. So there again comes the accolades to the organizers and of course to the participants. I personally knew many people in my friend and social circle who used to say that they have been IIM Calcutta alumnus. I would not know which program and where did they study and when did they study. After coming here, they started sending me the pic because during my morning walk, I also used to take my selfie and post it on my status or maybe on Twitter. So they used to revert me. And then I started asking, they would tell me like, this is the program I was part of, that is the program I was part of. Executive education, I come from university system, is not that strong product. But here, 1/3 of the entire, even more than 1/3 of the entire revenue of the institute comes from executive education. And 5 times the total number of students we have as a regular student are the students of executive education. Now, for an educational institution, it is the student. You know, education is a very interesting industry where the product is student. I mean, something that we are for. Our product is student and our customer is also student, which is very strange. So our entire focus in an educational institution revolves around the participants. I would certainly not like you to call as either customer or student. You all are professionals. But very interestingly, you all are, when you join us as a participant, it is important for us to frame our policies, our system, our mechanism revolving around the interest of the participants. And I believe that this institution has been able to do that because that is reflected in the total number of an increasing trend that we have seen in terms of number of participants. Revenue is not something that I would like to talk largely about, but in terms of numbers, it is important to see that more and more people are coming up and variety of people are coming. As I said, I'm your guest house mate. So I get to interact with so many people because my previous assignment has been at Lucknow and it was a public chair. So many people who come from nearby Lucknow area, they used to come and many a time it has happened over breakfast table or lunch table or dinner table. They used to walk up to me and say, "Aap Alok Rai sahab hain, main aapse mila hu," and so on. So it used to provide me the kind of range that we have been getting. Once on a one fine day, fine morning over breakfast, I found a lady in mid-30s walking up to me and saying, "Hello, sir." Now, I was a little amazed. I used to think of isko dekha hai kahin, but I was not able to recognize. She said, "Sir, I've been your student in BHU." She currently works for SEBI. They have a program like in academics, we have refresher and orientation programs, mandatory qualification for promotions. Similarly, they also had, she was AGM there, and to qualify to be DGM, they used to have such programs. So wide variety of program at wide range of people at different positions from different geographies have been coming, and that is where the strength of such institution lies. Now it is for us to create a productive relationship with all the participants, all the students who had come here once to further their learning, to move up into the career. And that is where the onus lies on the institute, not for any specific significance. So whenever I used to speak in any alumni interaction, I do not say कि साहब पैसे दे दो. This is what normally in any of the institution that you have studied, whenever you go and participate in any alumni meet, first thing your institution says is, "Kitna paisa de rahe ho?" I never say this. Then people start zipping their pockets. That is not the right way. But then it is to establish a productive relationship, an emotional relationship, a valuable relationship, so that they may themselves feel like, if at all this chair is bad, can I be able to contribute कि एक रो की chair हम बदलवा सकें? Can I be able to contribute in changing the chairs of one row? That sense of ownership has to come, and for that, this ownership lies on we as an institute. So it is important. Not just that, I also, because I know some people, I know a family of mine who is from Mumbai. She was participant of a 1-year program. She's subsequently got her life mate also from here. So later they got married. Is a very successful entrepreneur. And that is one thing that I think even at Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, we need to work a lot on. We get good number of entrepreneurs in our executive education program. That is where we want your support. In mentoring our students, our regular students, in providing some kind of support to our regular students, and also in hand holding, because the entrepreneurship is the only thing where majority of our economic ills remedy lies. So here I would want you all to come forward, hold hands of our regular student or executive education students, and try and provide some kind of support system in furtherance in their success of entrepreneurship. Now, I was told the theme is guided by reconnect, reflect, and reimagining. Now, of course, reconnection lies at the heart of today's initiative. In a government institution like ours, collective wisdom and institutional memory are invaluable assets. This Alumni Connect provides a structured platform to renew professional ties, foster peer learning, and strengthen collaboration between alumni, faculty, and the institute beyond the duration of any single program. We also see reflect as one of the catchline of this event. The idea of reflection invites us to pause and look back at our learning journeys, professional milestones, and the evolving role of executive education in public service and governance. Our executive programs have been shaped not only by academic rigor, but also by the rich professional experiences that you and our alumni bring in to the classroom. This shared reflection helps us assess where we stand and how far we have progressed. It is equally important for us to reflect upon the changing dynamics of higher educational landscape. When this high-end technology tools have come up, are we reflecting upon, not just in our curriculum, but also in our delivery, in terms of net takeaway, not gross, but net takeaway, is something that we are striving hard to reflect upon, and that is where the success of such programs will subsequently lie. And the third word that this ACE theme says is reimagine. This reimagining is looking to the future in the era of administrative reforms, digital transformation, and rising citizen expectations. We must continually reimagine leadership, governance, and capacity building. Your continued engagement will help us reimagine executive education itself, making it more responsive, practice oriented, and aligned with national priorities. As a government institution, our mandate extends beyond academic instruction towards nation building. Through this Alumni Connect, we seek to cultivate a community of reflective practitioners, connected leaders, and forward-thinking change agents who contribute meaningfully to public systems and societal progress. At IIM Calcutta, we are certainly attempting to impart these changes in our overall delivery. Over the years, the growing strength of our executive education programs have been high, which is 220 plus, and the steadily expanding alumni base, which is 13,000 plus, 34,000, have been a constant source of encouragement for us. The sustained interest from professionals across government, public sector undertakings, and allied domains reflect the credibility, relevance, and impact of these programs. This confidence is further reinforced by the consistent recognition the institution has received in national and international rankings and assessments. And I must share with you all that IIM Calcutta is probably one of the rarest institutions in the country which has got Triple Crown re-accreditation by all the three agencies. Third is on the way, and we have already done, so it's only a matter of time when we are going to get that, and that will make us probably the only institution in the country to have got this accreditation done twice, all three. Similarly, it also makes me proud to announce that IIM Calcutta has been ranked 83 for open programs in Financial Times Executive Education 2025 ranking and 78 for customs program in Financial Times Executive Education 2025 ranking in the globe. Such acknowledgements not only validate our academic and training efforts, but also motivate us to further enhance quality, outreach, and relevance. We have been trying hard to further our foothold into this training domain, into this executive education domain, into this management development programs domain. And we have moved for strengthening our ties in private as well as government. Very recently, we have had a MOU with HDFC Ergo. Similarly, with Ministry of Communication and Ministry of Urban Development, we also signed our MOUs for continuous streamlined executive training for their executives. Besides, we are being a premium institution, we don't want to fight on the front of pricing. So we are trying to reach out to different governments for government official training by offering the exclusivity of our strengths. Now, over the years, our executive programs have been certainly enriched by diversity of your background, the depth of your experience, and the rigor of discussion you bring in to the classrooms. In many ways, you are the co-creator of knowledge at the Institute. Internationalization is one more important initiative that Indian Institute of Management Calcutta is attempting for through executive education. We already run a program in Dubai, but we are ambitious enough to have our full-fledged campus. Today only we have had our preliminary discussion held with one of our partners, and we are in the process of having first our campus overseas, and we are going to start with executive education there itself. And at the next level only, we'll go for a regular management program. So I take at the end, I take this opportunity to express my appreciation to those who have worked towards conceptualizing and organizing this event. As I said, this is the most glamorous program that I've been exposed to since I've joined this institute. I also extend my sincere appreciation to our alumni for their presence and continued association with the institution. I would like to place on record our appreciation for our technology partners or service providers whose valuable support and collaboration enables the seamless delivery of our executive education programs through robust digital platforms. We are also in the process of having our own digital platform, which subsequently we shall be using that. Their contribution indeed has helped us expand outreach while maintaining quality and academic rigor. Now, with these words, I formally inaugurate the Executive Education Alumni Connect and wish this initiative sustained success in the years ahead. Thank you for taking your time out of your demanding schedule to be with us today. I wish this event meaningful conversation, renewed friendships, and productive outcomes. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Professor Rai, for your very inspiring words and deep insights. May I now call upon Professor Basu, our Dean Development and External Relations, to introduce our distinguished chief guest.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I kind of introduce the chief guest, I would like to say a few words about the External Connect. Mr. Aniruddha Paul, our chief guest today, Professor Alok Kumar Rai, Director IIM Calcutta, Professor Rajesh Prabhu, Dean of Executive Education, Professor Bhaskar Chakrabarti, Dean of Academic Programs, members of the board, faculty, staff, alumni, students, our honored guests, and participants. It's my privilege to welcome you all on the second edition of the Executive Education Alumni Connect event of IIM Calcutta. As we understand, as our previous speakers also highlighted, the strength of IIM Calcutta comes not only from the academic excellence, but also from the depth of its engagement with the industry and society. In this regard, perhaps the greatest asset that we have is a connect with the 35,000 odd strong executive education alumni community enriched by extraordinary heterogeneity across different business verticals, leadership roles, and professional experiences. This diversity gives IIM Calcutta a unique vantage point into multiple domains of practice. As executive education alumni, you stand at the frontier of industry transformation, and your partnership is invaluable for us. We look forward to deepening this connect through consulting, through case study development, focused programs, mentorship, strategic collaboration, and other new initiatives that bring alumni, faculty, industry, and society together. This is not a laundry list of all possible collaborations that I am highlighting. Please let me know, please let our office know in case you have any other possible collaborations that you have in our mind. We'd be happy to collaborate with you all in whatever capacity that we can. As we already always say, right, at the end of any certificate distribution program, that this is not the end of our journey. And this participation showcases the meaning of the statement that we say at the end of the certificate program. This is a continuum, and we wish to continue this journey together. And our assistance with you, the value co-creation that we can deliver together will be essential in this regard. Now we'll come to the part two of my speech, which is primarily to introduce our chief guest today. It is my great honor to introduce our chief guest for this evening or afternoon, Mr. Aniruddha Ani Paul, an accomplished technology and business leader whose career exemplifies global excellence and transformative leadership. Mr. Paul brings over 3 decades of international experience across banking, insurance, and digital transformation, with the leadership roles in some of the world's most respected financial institutions. He has held global C-suite positions in Standard Chartered Bank and ING, both globally systematically important banks. His work spans steering complex transformation, managing regulatory landscapes, and driving innovation across AI, data, process, and technology. Most recently, he served as the Chief Information Officer for Corporate and Investment Banking for Europe and Americas at Standard Chartered, leading a 7,000-member global team. Earlier, as Group Chief Data Officer of ING, Mr. Paul defined the bank's global data strategy and built foundational capabilities for compliance, customer experience, and digital banking. His achievements have earned him distinctions such as CIO of the Year, recognition among the top 25 CIOs in Australia, and multiple CIO 100 awards. He is also an entrepreneur, having founded Cerulean Information Technology, a venture-backed global enterprise. A respected speaker and thought leader, his work has been featured in global forums and case studies, and he actively supports startups and social impact initiatives. As an alumnus of IIM Calcutta class of 1995 and a global professional who has worked across 3 continents, Mr. Paul exemplifies the leadership, innovation, and global outlook that define our institute. He now resides in Bangalore with his family. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Aniruddha Ani Paul, a distinguished leader, innovator, and a proud alumnus of IIM Calcutta. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Basu. May I now request our director, Professor Rai, to felicitate Sri Aniruddha Paul with a shawl and memento as a token of our respect and appreciation. সামনে দিয়ে এসো। সামনে দিয়ে এসো। Thank you, Professor Rai. It is my privilege now to invite Mr. Paul to deliver the keynote address, please.
Clicker? Yeah. No, the clicker for the PPT. As we sort out some of the housekeeping issues, dear Director, Professor Rai, Professor Rajesh Babu, Dean Professor Shrimanta Basu, Professor Bhaskar Chakravarti, other dignitaries, and the audience. Thank you for inviting me to share the keynote for ACE 2025. It's a sheer honor and a privilege for me to be here. It comes with its, the event comes with its own tagline, as Professor Rai mentioned, of reconnect, reflect, and reimagine. And I personally find it so resonating with me as I stand in the institute that I had come here 30 years back as a fresh-eyed, bright-eyed, and a fresh-faced PGDM student in 93, 95. And I now come back 30 years later after a career spanning across a few continents to share some insights with you. And I hope that you might find it useful. If nothing else, my mother is proud of me, though slightly disbelieving that the institute and the professors will have me back. But then that's what mothers are, aren't they? Full deck? Yeah. This is, of course, not the first time that I've come back to the institute. I'll just wait for the full deck to come up. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, excellent, very good. So I was back in the campus in 2015 for our 20th year reunion. And I dropped in to visit Professor Sanjeev Vaidya of the Management Information Systems Group, and had gone to his office. And he had a remarkable surprise for me. He had unearthed the term paper that I had written for him in 1995, and he literally ambushed me in a delightful way, of course, by showing it to me.
And of course, one should trust the MIS group for very efficient storage and retrieval. But this was such an unexpected honor. And I was so thrilled. And therein lies a story that I wanted to share with you about. Now, on the face of it, I'd obviously enjoyed working on the term paper. And I guess when you are passionate about something, it shows in the quality of your work. And Professor Vaidya had also enjoyed guiding me around the term paper too. And the end result was to his satisfaction, enough for him to rummage through his storage and bring the file and bring it to my attention. But I did reflect later, and I keep reflecting on it over a period of time, and I think back about my formative years on why did that term paper go so well. And it wasn't just that term paper. I'd really enjoyed the 2 years that I'd spent here in doing my MBA. I was greedily supping up as much as I could from various groups in the institute, whether it was in HR or marketing or finance or in information systems and research, statistics, name it. I was a sucker for getting in as much as knowledge as I could. And of course, if I have to know why I really enjoyed doing that, doing the hard yards to gain knowledge, not from one specific discipline, but across the broad spectrum of capabilities that define a management education, then I have to go back by a few more years and go back by to 1986 when I was a student in IIT Kharagpur, 116 kilometers from here, and then reflect on how that journey had been. I had enrolled into IIT, I guess, because I happened to pass an entrance exam. There was no real passion in what I was doing there. And it reflected in the way I approached my education and the grades I got and the joy that I had there. It was, I knew enough. I knew that I did not want to pursue a career purely in engineering, but I did not quite know what I'd want to do. But I was clear that I had to follow my passion and find my own path. And after that, I went on. I spent 3 years with a technology major doing solution composition, pre-sales, and even outright sales. And as I kept doing that, I realized that I actually like the business of business. And the companies that I worked with, they were companies big and small. They were giant manufacturers. They were small SMEs who fed into the manufacturing system. There were research labs, there were defense labs, there were aerospace companies, there were even the racehorse stud farm in Pune, for example, who were my customers. And I found one thing that was common to them, which I found fascinating. And also, it's also true about the education institutes that I went to in Pune, where I was working then. What I found fascinating was the ability for a number of people to come together on a daily basis to do their work, to participate in an endeavor which translates a business vision into an actual output that they can be proud of. And I knew instinctively that I was beginning to understand what could be my purpose. And my purpose was slowly crystallizing around understanding why businesses work, why do some businesses flourish, why do other businesses with the same ingredients become an also ran. And I could understand that what made it really compelling for me to do this kind of work was that the organization that I worked for gave me the autonomy to find my own path. And I could carve my own destiny, my own strategy. So the ability to go forth into the world, not knowing exactly what you're going to do, but following your heart and your passion, and being given an environment by your organization, by your boss, by your employer, by your mentor to explore, make mistakes, and understand what you're going to do, that was something that really struck a chord within me. And I wanted to equip myself with the tools and the skills and the craft that are required to understand the world of enterprises and to have the tools of the trade and to get to work with it. And I resolved that I'll do an MBA. It became an intentional, deliberate decision. It was not driven by extrinsic factors of power and wealth. It was significantly driven by my own compelling necessity to understand what is it that I'm passionate about and what are the tools and techniques that I need to do to give expression and mastery to my passion. So, without knowing the term, I was on the road to finding meaning in life and in work. And today, when I speak to you in a world of great turmoil, when the future is uncertain, when we are not terribly sure whether the innovations of today are going to be good or bad for our careers of tomorrow, finding your calling, finding your purpose, and linking it to the purpose of the greater team and the greater good is something that would heartily encourage you, because that becomes the potential for being your North Star to guide you in these interesting times. I'll spend a minute or two to explore some of the guiding principles that I've followed in motivation. And I rely heavily on the work of Daniel Pink and his seminal output, the book called Drive, where he talked about the fact that what motivates at his work is not necessarily the extrinsic factors of pay or reward or praise. And sure, they have a part, because you do get some outputs if you are able to pay better. You do get a fill up in productivity if your boss praises you. But that works only for the simplest of tasks. And in fact, there's enough research which shows that if you go into more complex areas like creativity or collaboration, then extrinsic motivators like more money or more power actually has a detrimental effect to the way you go forth and create things. And what really matters is intrinsic motivation. And intrinsic motivation has got three pillars that I passionately believe in. You have a pillar of autonomy. You want to be the boss of what you do. Even if you are an entry level individual contributor, you want to carve your own space. You want to call something your own. And then you have mastery, which is the ability to express yourself in a manner where you know you're the best at what you do. That calls for a different set of skills and a different set of cadence and a different organizational culture that allows you to be a master. Are you, for example, allowed to make mistakes from which you can learn? Do you have a feedback loop that feeds into you so that you know that you can improve and do things better? But mastery at what we do is something that we crave for. And then finally comes purpose, the ability to link what you're doing to something bigger than yourself. For example, if you go to SpaceX or NASA or even, let's say, ISRO, for example, I shouldn't say even ISRO, it's especially ISRO, and you ask somebody there, what do you do? And do not be surprised if every one of them says that I help launch rockets, I help launch satellites, and this is what my purpose is. And then if you ask the next question, what exactly do you do in terms of your skills that allows you to launch rockets? Do not be surprised if the person says, I'm the person who's in charge of cleaning bathrooms, and I do an amazing job at ensuring they're spick and span. So what has happened is that you have found someone who's the janitor, and in your hierarchical order of things, you'll probably say, what has he got to do with launching rockets? But the entire organization is actually believing that they're in this giant common purpose for humanity, which is to launch rockets. And he happens to have a skill, which is about cleaning bathrooms, which is different from someone who's coding for a satellite and different from a fuel engineer. And he has got absolute mastery that he's proud of. And it's only when you have these all three coming together at an organizational level that you have an organization that is purposeful, that is on a mission that changes the world instead of just following the here and now and the there and then. And what I do is that whether your role demands inspiring leadership or whether you're simply in the doldrums, if this is something that you can identify with and ask yourself those three questions. That do I have enough autonomy to do what I want to do? Or is it that I'm being henpecked upon and every bit of my movements are being watched, which doesn't give me the freedom to express myself? Then ask yourself, are you allowed to make mistakes? Do you get enough feedback that comes back to you so that you can gain mastery at what you're doing? And then finally, are you working or are you doing things which allow you to link up with a bigger purpose, which is bigger than yourself? If the answer to all three or even two of them is a resounding yes, then your sense of intrinsic motivation, which allows you to be world class. But if you have friction in getting the right answers, it's a time for introspection and wondering what is it that you can do to make it better. I'll delve a little bit more on, on mastery. And this is an example that Daniel Pink gives about a ceramic teacher who divides the class into two parts. Let's say there's one group which is called the quality group, and there is another group which is called the quantity group. The group in charge of quality is just given one problem to solve, which is make just one item, one pottery item, and no more. You don't have to make two or three or any more. Just make one, but you have to ensure that it's faultless. And then you have the second group, which is incentivized to say that produce as many as you can. We'll pay you on a per piece rate. And don't worry about the quality bit. That'll take care, I guess. But just go forth and manufacture as much as you can. And then after the exercise is over, when you sit back, guess which team produces the finest of pottery. The intuitive answer would be the one which is designated the quality team, because hey, they've been asked to do only one and not many. And we all think that quality is better than quantity. But the reality is that it was the second team that consistently produced flawless pottery because they were allowed to churn out a large number. They were allowed to make mistakes that they were not held accountable for. They were allowed to learn from their mistakes. So by the time they produced the 100th piece of pottery, it was far better than the team one, which was asked to produce one and only one could. And this is something to reflect upon, that if you want to be a master at your trade, you need to have your productivity and output and feedback loop that allows you to self-correct. And that's what I would urge you all to do, that think in terms of autonomy, mastery, and purpose in your work as you go about armed with the education that you've received here and you go forth to conquer the world. I would urge you to think and benchmark on, are you meeting your own internal standards for these attributes? We now are in a world of great change, and never has it been that we have so much of distrust in our leaders. And the distrust is everywhere. We are distrustful of our political leaders. We are distrustful of our religious leaders. We do not trust our economists. I think we have stopped trusting our cricket captain too. So we have a trust deficit right now. And paradoxically, we are in a time of great change where innovation and the concomitant benefits of that, whether it's the world of AI, whether it's the world of blockchain, are redefining the world. But what happens is that if you're in leadership, and all of us are either leaders of our own destiny or leaders of teams that are going forward with pursuing the activities of economics, then if you have a trust deficit in your leadership, if you have some of the survey figures are 68% of people do not trust their own CEOs to speak the truth. They believe that they have things to hide. Then it's very hard to pull a team along in the same direction. Now, some of it is axiomatic. If you are in a world of uncertainty, if you're in a world of great turbulence, then there is an automatic trust deficit. Unless leadership is rooted in something genuine. And over the years, because this is not the first turbulence that has hit us over 30 years or so, we had the global financial crisis, post-Lehman in 2009, 2010. We had currency meltdowns in East Asia. We had banking bankruptcies. We have loss of trust. So over a 30-year period, I've gone through enough episodes when there has been a trust deficit in leadership. But one thing that has stood out for me is a purpose-driven, authentic leadership style, which ensures that you are believable. And studies show that the leaders that teams trust are the leaders that are extremely self-aware, and they're aware of their own faults and foibles and the opportunity that they have to excel and what they've got to do. And when it is rooted in a strong sense of ethics and morality and the ability to bring this to the team, that's when trust deficit starts moving into authentic, purposeful leadership, which is good for the organization. And if there is one leadership style, and as I said, we are all leaders here. We are leaders of our own destiny. We are leaders of teams. If there is one leadership style that I'd urge you all to embrace, it is that of a purpose-driven, authentic leadership that I would request you all to go into. And when I go there, it all starts with one foundational block. It is about knowing why you exist. And Mark Twain, the celebrated American author, said it beautifully. He said, and I quote, "The two most important days in your life were the day when you were born and the day you found out why." So for me, for example, the second day was when I realized that I am not a pure technologist. I am a person who enjoys technology in the purpose of business. And that's when I realized what my true purpose is. And then that's when I felt that professionally I was reborn. So knowing your sense of self, your self-awareness, and if you look at some of the stats that I've mentioned here, 75 members of the Stanford Graduate School's Business Advisory Council were asked to identify what's the one single trait that you would like to have in a leader, and it was nearly unanimous. It is about self-awareness. So if you know yourself, if you know what you stand for, if you know what your values are, if you know what your non-negotiables are, then you have the basis with which you can inspire your team. And that's the foundation of authentic leadership. I'll skip this and I'll come to something intensely personal. So what do you do with a sense of self? What do you do with a sense of purpose? How do you translate it into something that is tangible and strong? And I was fortunate to go through this in one August institution that I work for, and that was ING, where the chief HR officer was a visionary called Hein Naffen, who had introduced me to purpose-driven leadership. And what he did was he made the senior leadership of the bank worldwide sit down for an intense workshop where it was about first finding your personal purpose. And that requires going deep into your childhood to your memories of great intensity, whether happiness or pain, to find out what really stirs you, what boils your blood, what gives you great comfort or great joy. And for me, it was simple. My happiest memories of my childhood were that of road trips, cross-country road trips where you gather as a family and you go off, and it's not just the destination that you're going to, but it's the journey that is meaningful. And the process of translating this into authentic, purpose-driven leadership from a sense of self, where you know what makes you happy and confident and able to look at the world with optimism, was about taking this and refashioning it into something inspirational. So I took that memory and I refashioned it into something that I also do, which is I still do road trips. I have a four-wheel drive in which I take my family along and my colleagues along too, and I'll talk about the picture a little bit. And I take them on and I describe it as my purpose is to guide my crew on the most amazing road trips of their lives. The picture that you see on the left is not of just three friends who are hanging around with me. This is the year 2015, when the bank that I was working for in India was going through an acquisition. We were being acquired. ING Vaishya Bank was being acquired by Kotak Mahindra Bank, a great bank, really good for the shareholders, really good for all employees, but quite troubling for the bank that's being taken over. And we had a problem to solve. We obviously needed to take care of our customers. We obviously need to take care of our teams and employees. We also needed to take care of ourselves. And not all three were aligning properly as we were discussing. So I went back to my purpose. And I literally took my team for a 5,000-kilometer ride from Bangalore to the Run of Kutch and back. And it was very clear that I couldn't do all the driving. So the team had to step up to do the driving. I couldn't do all the preparation. So the team had to go forth, kick the tires, ensure there was enough oil, ensure there was water to ensure that the windscreens were clean. Somebody was good at night driving, somebody was good at day driving. So you have break up of work. You have to be with a collegial team because you're cooped up in a car for 10 days. You cannot really fight, so you have to ensure that you're in harmony. So the metaphor of the road trip of your lives was actually put into practice. And we came back and we resolved that come what may, we'll see this integration through. And it's a bit like the Bhagavad Gita of Nishkam Karma. You do your duty and goodness will follow, riches will follow. And that's exactly what happened. And the genesis was going back to my personal purpose. That is that I love road trips. I like to take my team on the road trips and the journeys that really excite them. And what you do, if in a template manner, is once you go back to your memories and you articulate an inspiring statement that you're proud of, you will then apply it to the team. You will then install in them the same sense of culture. You will break it up into executable plans of 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. And anyway, after 3 years, we're all dead, so we don't know. So we'll stop there. But that's what you'll do to ensure that you're able to pull things along. And then you have a ring of authenticity with which you command your team. People know the values that you stand for. In this case, it was very clear to all the teams that I work for that I'm not bothered about the outcome alone. I'm bothered about the journey. I'm very clear that I'm not going to be the lead from the front person all the time. It's exhausting. It's not scalable. I expect my team to lead, and I will be the backseat driver sometimes. It is expected that you need to have skills which support the mission that you're on. Somebody has to take care of navigation. Somebody else has to take care of the snacks and the food. Somebody else has to ensure that the tires are kicked and you have all the stuff that you need for doing so. And getting the sense of why was really important into putting this template in place. So today, as I stand before you, and in a world of turbulence, I urge you to discover what really makes you happy. Go deep into your memories of your childhood, memories of your lives. Seize the moments that gave you great passion. Articulate a sense of self which is transcendental and inspiring for the teams that are around you and that showcase the values that you stand for. And let this be the way you conquer the world of today and tomorrow. Thank you.
So if you have any questions for Mr. Paul, you can, ask them now.
Yeah, sure. And I know it's a heavy topic, and if it needs a bit more stimulation, I'm available to talk to you over a cup of tea, and feel free to ask me all the questions that you want there. Thank you.
So anyone, any questions? Thank you so much, sir. I'm certain your words will resonate with the audience for a long time now, and maybe they are, still dwelling on your words. So to bring this inaugural session to a close, may I now invite Professor Chakravarti, our Dean Academic Programs, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Shubhradi. It is my pleasure to offer this vote of thanks after such a deeply resonant keynote, as Shubhradi mentioned. Mr. Paul, your reflections on purpose-driven leadership spoke to something far more enduring than titles. You reminded us that leadership is not merely about outcomes, but about meaning, as you mentioned, about aligning who we are with what we do and why we do it. You reminded us that leadership begins when work stops being just a role and starts feeling like it is part of something bigger, the greater good, as you said. In a world that often measures success narrowly, your message brought us to the first principles of values, of purpose, of impact. Your pottery class story, and that wonderfully unpretentious just do it, was a timely reminder that learning comes from doing and indeed making mistakes, not from wanting to get it perfect. What made your address especially powerful was its quiet honesty. You spoke of leadership not as a destination, but a lifelong inner journey. And in an age of distrust, as you mentioned, you call for leaders to lead with clarity, with purpose, and authenticity felt both grounding and challenging. These are ideas that resonate deeply with the ethos of IIM Calcutta and with our alumni community spread across geographies, sectors, and generations. On behalf of our director, Professor Alok Kumar Rai, students, staff, faculty, and our global alumni community, we thank you for sharing your wisdom and your time with us. You have given us much to reflect upon, not only as professionals, but as individuals seeking meaning in life and work. We hope you will continue to remain closely connected with your alma mater, and we look forward to welcoming you back to this campus, a place that thrives on conversations such as the one you initiated today. Thank you, Mr. Aniruddha Paul, and thank you all.
That brings us to the close of the inaugural session. We invite you to join us outside for some refreshments. We have arranged some, city-wise zones on the lawn to make networking easier and more meaningful. So come and join us in the lawn and enjoy your conversations. So before we leave the auditorium now, we will. We request you to all please stand up for the national anthem. Please start. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंग तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगल नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे